to a look behind the curtain with Chris. This YouTube channel was created to answer the two questions I get the most, which are, is digital marketing real and are people having success with it? And to really provide a look behind the curtain to the viewer and the people who are interested so that they know really what it takes to get started and some of the actual struggles that are involved in building an online business. I know that it's really popular on social media to see everyone standing in front of fancy sports cars and big houses and flashing cash, and travel. But what does it really take to be able to live that lifestyle? And that's what we want to dive into. Those are the stories that we're going to share. And every week I'm going to bring out a new guest, and we're going to dive into, their success, the things that they had to go through to get to it, their story, their journey. And hopefully you, the viewer, can, pull some inspiration, motivation, and even some techniques or principles from these stories and apply them into your life and business to have the same results or even better results than the people who are interviewing, or myself or anyone else in the industry who you've seen and has ultimately brought you to this video. So without further ado, let's kick off the episode.
Today I have another amazing guest to bring out onto the show. He's a first generation Taiwanese American who was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. He is the proud parent of two lovely children, ages 16 and 8. And for the past 10 years, he's been trying several different business models, different businesses, but couldn't gain any traction and really get that success he was looking for until he linked up with the right mentors and training. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out Rob Gough. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Great, doing great. Getting over a little bit of a cold, but doing much better. The show must go on.
Awesome.
So, of course, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us and provide some value to the viewer. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's an absolute honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, brother. So usually I start these off with a simple question, your backstory. What is it that ultimately got you into entrepreneurship? Was it your family you have entrepreneurs in your family? What was your upbringing and what ultimately brought you into being an online entrepreneur?
Okay, should I start from the very, very beginning?
Yeah, go for it.
Childhood story? Okay, well, as you said, I am a son to two Taiwanese immigrants. I born here in Las Vegas, so I guess that would make me first generation. And so my story begins, and I'm going to share something a little personal. I hope that's okay. So when I was around 5 years old, my mother, we were all supposed to go to, my first trip. I've never been over there, Taiwan, China. My family's scattered between the two, Taiwan and China. And I've never been over there. It was supposed to be my first trip. And my mother went over first and actually never made it over there because she was over there a few weeks. We were supposed to meet her over there, and she ended up coming back because she started having symptoms. She started getting sick, and at first we just thought it was maybe, like the flu or something like that, but it progressively started getting worse. She started losing, she started becoming colorblind, and she started losing, some of her motor function. Ultimately, her memory started getting affected, and what we found out was that she had a really bad reaction. So she had viral encephalitis, and if none of you know what that is, it's just like a swelling of the brain. Usually it can be a bacterial or a viral form. So unfortunately, she started losing her memory, and that's something tough that I had to deal with as a child. And I believe it kind of conditioned her and kind of shaped me in a way to where it's kind of hard to be, I'm not an emotional person, being and growing around that early on. So going from there, my father, he's been a pretty much a lifelong dealer here in Las Vegas, but he always had like kind of little entrepreneurial things on the side that he was trying to do, but he never got serious. Like at one time, I remember he used to make his own beef jerky, and he would sell it, and he even had his own packaging, and eventually it got a little bit big, and somebody told him that you need to get a business license or he's gonna get fined or whatever it might be. So he stopped doing that. Um, so fast forward, until I get a little older, and uh, you know, my first son was about to be born, and this is when I was like, you know what, I've been at the same job, bartending here on the strip for, at that time it was about, gosh, 5 years, but now currently I've been at this job for about 14. But at the time I was there, um, I've been working in different service industry jobs here in Vegas, and I noticed, and it's like any other job. You got to be there for 8 hours. I got to leave my children. At the time, they were very small, so it's even harder to leave, your small children at home, leaving with other people to live, to raise them and take care of them. And it's a tough thing. And I'm not unique to this. I'm sure all parents can agree. So I'm like, there's got to be something that um, I can get into, to where I can either work from home or work on my own terms, at least, to kind of, design my own schedule to cater more to my children. So it was at this time when I started getting into, like, my first venture was, I was like, you know what, I'm kind of new to the nightlife scene, in bartending, and you know what, why don't I make some money and do it at the same time? So a buddy of mine, we're both bartenders, we're like, we're going to create a nightlife media website where we go out and just kind of document the scene, and we can maybe make, shout outs to certain venues that may want to support us and things like that. And the whole thing back then was running ads on your website. Now we know it's all different now. It doesn't really work that way. Mm-hmm. But back then was like, if you were had a lot of traffic to your website, then you can do banner ads and all this and create a revenue off of it. And it didn't get off the ground. It ended up just being more of a party thing for me and my buddy, and it just did not work at all. So, I mentioned that my son, he was, this was before, my son, but so now my son was about to be born, and I actually connected with a friend of mine on Facebook. I haven't seen him for years, and he was always posting like positive posts, and I was like, what is this guy into? So I kind of reached out to him, and it ended up, he was actually doing really well in a network marketing company. So this was my first taste of real network marketing. I tried in the past, and it was kind of not a very good company. It didn't really make it off the ground. So I don't really consider that, like a true, because, there's good, like super solid network marketing companies, and there's not so good ones, right? So this one was a solid one. It was a global network marketing company, and I tried it out, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I gave it a try, but I quickly noticed that a lot of it just wasn't for me. I believe it's a great opportunity for some, but it took me about 7 years to realize, and not much income on top of that, to realize that this particularly, some of the aspects wasn't for me. I saw the value in the overall business plan itself. And so this is kind of bringing us more current. It was 7 years of doing that and failing. And the one thing I did learn from those 7 years of failure is personal growth and development and mindset, because to try to work for yourself and be an entrepreneur, you need to develop your mindset, right? And it goes hand in hand. You can't go very far, even if you're like a professional, super experienced in a skill set. You need the mindset to drive that, right? So what I learned in that 7 years is like personal growth and development, reading books that leave you in a better place than when you first started, and watching videos. So I started to create a daily routine, which is, waking up, and I would read, and then with my morning coffee, I'd go turn on YouTube and type in Les Brown or Tony Robbins and watch that for a few minutes. And lo and behold, this ad came up, and it was that famous Cala video. Mm-hmm. And normally I would just hit just give me my video, I just want to watch, right? Skip ad. But it was something about it. I ended up watching it all the way through, and basically the rest is history. And I've been doing this online marketing thing for almost 2 years now. The first year, I don't consider, it was a little rough on the first year, but starting in second year last year, it's just been absolute growth like this. You know, if you look month to month, it's just been a solid growth. So yeah, that's pretty quick rundown of my entrepreneurial journey. I just want to throw that little story about my mom, because that was a big event in my life that kind of, I think, affected some of my thinking up until, you know, currently.
Yeah, you had a lot of really great points. But I just want to hit on just one really quick, because I always find it really unique when I have the opportunity to speak with somebody who kind of tried it on their own for a bit, you know, with the network marketing thing. And then you also had mentioned that, you know, the first year you were doing online marketing didn't really take off. So I kind of want to start with the network marketing, you know, and then also so I guess it's basically a two-part question. So
Absolutely.
what about network marketing and the first year in online marketing was different than the last year you just had? What was like that one thing that happened that really started taking your success to the next level? So it's two questions in one question, basically.
Okay, so going back to the network marketing, how exactly could you repeat the question about the network marketing? Like, I guess
so you did network marketing for 7 years, correct?
Yes.
And then you did a year of online marketing, but you had trouble. You didn't have the success you're ultimately looking for, but you have had that in this last year. What was it in this last year that changed that was different than the previous 8?
Okay, I see what you're saying. And I see the relation between the two. So in the 7 years of network marketing, it's for anybody that's not familiar, the old school way of network marketing, and a lot of companies still want their independent distributors or business owners to use this model, is to just face-to-face, you know, talking and promoting the opportunity, whatever it may be. And I just wasn't really good at that, and I really tried. I you know, the sales part, or, you know, getting a new accounts was a lot easier for me. Building a team rather was not. It was a little more hard for me, and after 7 years, it was tough. And in relation to my first year of online marketing, I saw the difference right away. When I saw the concept, I was like, I can leverage the internet to reach a lot of people, and still go face to face after the fact, right? To build a relationship. But the difference was, in my first year, it was I wasn't able to invest at the level that I did on the second year. So I came in and I saw the value, but I had the minimal amount of tools and training, and but I took what I had and I did it. I built out a couple of funnels promoting, you know, some offers, and I didn't have. I made with what I did, right? But it wasn't until the second year. No, I saw, you know, the whole first year, I was like, you know, I gotta invest in the higher levels and get this training, because I totally see the value in it. And it wasn't, you know, until I started reading the recommended reads that, you know, that we get in our back office, and you know, some of the personal development events that I've attended, that I started creating belief. You know, I started overriding some of the limits that probably held me back those 7 years, possibly. You know, if I might have changed my mindset to a different level during those 7 years, it could have been a different story. Mm-hmm. But in that first year, I began to change myself in a lot of ways, to where I had 100% belief and certainty. And so I actually sacrificed and invested in the biggest way, and I sold my house to invest in myself at the highest levels. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, you sold your house, isn't that a little bit drastic? Yes, and it was very scary. It took a long time of me, probably the whole first year of online marketing. I had this in my mind, right? I was like, I want it, you know, I'm ready to make a sacrifice, because I know I'm going to make it no matter what. But it was scary. It was a scary decision to make. And the whole point of me explaining this is, like, some people might think, oh, well, you could have maybe gotten like a home equity loan, or some other a regular loan, but in my that situation, I couldn't. The only way was to actually just go all in and sell my house. But the reason why, like, so when I got my house, I went through a program so where I couldn't take out any equity or anything like that. So that explains why I couldn't, particularly get a loan for that. So I sold the house. I was like, you know what? A house is a house. This is for the betterment of me and my family, and I can always find a house, some other time in the future. They're always there, right?
Yeah, that's powerful, man. That's really powerful. It just reminds me, you're not. I've had the opportunity to talk to several like successful people in this industry, and it always blows my mind. A question I get very often, just to kind of start to preset this, is I don't have the money to get started. I don't have the finances, the funds to really dive in the way I want to. And I always tell people, I was like, that's most people who are starting in this industry don't. That's why they're making the change, right? But I will tell you this, it's the people that stop at nothing and commit to their success that actually have it. And you're a perfect example of that. Willing to sell your home in the back of your head, knowing that once you sell your home and get what you need and build your life better, you can go and buy any home you want. It reminds me of Jeff Scafani, another very, very successful online entrepreneur that we both know. It's been featured on this show before. Sold his car so he could go all the way in. And like
his suits too.
Well, yeah, he sold his suits to get to Awaken. But yeah, people that stop at nothing to better themselves and better their lives get it. It's just as simple as that. I mean, I didn't have to go crazy and sell anything. I did have my motorcycle at the time up for sale, but I was able to get a bank loan at the time, so I didn't have to. But yeah, like, stop at nothing to better your life, and you hit it on the head, to invest in the highest level in yourself. There's no better investment in the world than to invest that highly in yourself.
Absolutely. And to add to that point, it's like when you're investing at that kind of level, it's like there's no turning back, right? It's like burning the ships.
Yes.
So the kids, and that's one thing that made it tough, was the kids, right? I'm selling our home, but they've been 100% supportive, and they know the story, and that's what matters the most. I'm doing it for them, and they're in 100% support, and they understand. So for that, I am super, super grateful.
That's awesome to hear, man. Having that support at home, having that level of backing is amazing. It's really, at the end of the day, when you're banging your head off the wall, because no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to have stressful days. And some days you just need to walk away and be with the loved ones who are supporting you, and it just brings you right back up. It's an amazing thing. Absolutely.
And I hear stories out there in the community where their own loved ones, like spouses or whatnot, aren't supportive of what they're doing, only because they're kind of uneducated about what the industry is about or what the community is about. Mm-hmm. And for me, that hurts, because the people that are closest to you need to be the most supportive. Yeah.
So I just want to add something really quick. My wife has always been very, very supportive of me, even before I started in this, like before I started online, let's say, because I had the auto glass business previous, and she's been supporting me, physically, mentally, all these things for a long, long time. We've known each other since we were 17. Wow. But it was a profound thing that happened just 2 weeks ago, right? So you don't have to be an online marketer to go to an Awaken class, to go to a personal development course, to like be a part of the community. You don't have to be a digital marketer. And my wife, here or there through events and showing up and seeing me speak and doing things, she had seen part of the community. But just this last Awaken event, my wife had the opportunity to actually be in it and be a student and be immersed into what I call family. And the ride home that Sunday, or actually that Monday morning, sorry, the level of conversation was on a whole new caliber. Her understanding of why I'm so driven to help people, why I'm building the veteran program, why I go to Vegas and help train, why I do everything I do, it had a whole nother level of understanding, because now she saw it firsthand. She was immersed in it. And it was one of the most beautiful things, because her level of support went from 100 to 120. And it's been really cool. I just wanted to add that in there, because you were talking about supportive families, and And that's just something that's like been a huge win for me lately. And I've been super grateful to the universe and everything for it. You know, and I've had the opportunity to facilitate your re-audit for Awaken.
That's right. That's right.
And that was another amazing experience. How have you found it to be? I mean, obviously you re-audited, you went back, you wanted more. So how was that for you?
That experience for me was absolutely amazing. And in the event I was talking about earlier was actually Awaken. So that event alone helped me create belief into, you know, taking the biggest step on this journey alone. But yes, I have went twice. I see the value. I actually believe that even twice is not enough. I think it's one of those things where you should just kind of, it's like, you know, you tend to like, it's like taking I like to use this analogy. So it's like taking a bath or a shower daily, right? Like personal development and growth is like, if you don't take a shower or bath daily, then the funk starts to build up, right? So you need some kind of event like Awaken, and maybe not daily, but every once in a while to wash all the funk off and get, you know, all the good stuff to surface. So going back again was like washing the funk off for me. And at the last event in November, I had also brought a friend of mine that wasn't, you know, not necessarily part of the community, but she was a friend of mine, and she absolutely was blown away. Like she was just got so much value out of the experience. And for me, I'm going to activate in April here in a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife had such an impact from it. She can't go. Well, we have plans in April, but she signed up for the very next one in September. She there was no way she wasn't going to the next level. That's so awesome to see. And I actually leave Tuesday to go up to Canada to facilitate the Awaken up in Kelowna because they're doing it. They're international now. It's not just in the U.S. So really cool, growing really fast.
I give you a lot of props for everything that you're doing. You know, facilitating that and have vision to set something up for veterans. Dude, that is amazing. After hearing that from, you know, your vision, I was like, you know what, I'm really, you know, deep and big into personal growth and development myself. I was like, what if we can create something like this for children?
Yeah.
You know, they said, you know, the first 8 years of their life is when they, you know, soak in and basically become who they become based off of their environment, what they're seeing and hearing and experiencing. Why not, you know, create some kind of events for children that can help them, you know, shape them into, you know, successful, positive human beings, adults, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely needed. Definitely needed for sure. So I know we've been talking about personal development for a little bit. I'm just going to kind of transfer us back onto your digital marketing journey here. So in this last year, you started building out success, and that's great. But in the year previous, when you had the limited resources and didn't really have everything at your disposal just yet, what were some of the obstacles you hit that you were trying to like really push through, and how did you get through them?
Well, so I knew that going into this, that affiliate marketing would be the easiest path to get, you know, to get into the online marketing space, simply because there's just less headaches with it, right? You don't have to deal with your own product. You're basically just promoting other products. And so my first year, I didn't have all the trainings I needed to advertise, say, like on Facebook, which is one of the, you know, one of the most popular platforms for that. So I just had enough training and I used it to the fullest extent. So I picked some offers on ClickBank, and I did some solo ads. So so I just had a brain fart. Where did you?
I was just asking what were some of the obstacles you had, and you said you didn't have the proper training for Facebook, so you had started with solo ads.
Right. So yeah, that, you know, the biggest obstacle is basically the resources. I didn't have the capital to get the, you know, to invest at the level I wanted to. And for me, that's what kind of plateaued me for that first entire year. Because just being stuck on one traffic source and not knowing how to use other traffic sources, actually, you know, put me in just plateaued me altogether. So it wasn't until that second year I was like, you know, I need to educate myself and learn more about other platforms and how to get myself out there, you know, get my ads out there and get seen more, you know.
Yeah. So did the solo ads work at all for you? And for those viewers who don't know, solo ads is basically we're emailing you. We're emailing you offers. You don't see the ad on a social media platform. It's more of a autoresponder email, direct sales kind of thing. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought now. So did you have any success with the solo ads? There, I'm back on track.
I did not. I think I did about 2 rounds of solo ads, and I got a whole rush of leads, which is exciting because that was my first time. I was like, well, you know what? And so solo ads, when you get them, you just get a burst of leads all at once, and it was pretty exciting. It's not like other forms of paid advertising where they kind of trickle in. So it was super exciting just to get a big burst of leads for the first time ever. No sales though, but you know what? I was like, I got experience. I paid for experience, and I'm truly grateful for that because I did learn a lot. This was my first funnel I ever built, and it was my own, funnel. Like when you're promoting other offers, sometimes they give you pre-made parts of the funnel for you to use, which they know convert, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I built these out entirely myself, and so building on to my I knew affiliate marketing was the way to go, a path of least resistance to go. I was like, why not just be an affiliate for AWOL? I think it's, I've learned from the company, and I absolutely 100% trust the company. I know their products. So why not just promote their product? And so I was like, I know I need to get, the training to learn how to advertise on Facebook. So that's when I was like, you know what, I need to take the next step and just get this going and take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's it's just like a fact right now that you can't, there's no other platform that will give you a better bang for your invested buck than Facebook, because you're able to get in front of people for a much lower cost than any other platform out there right now. The issue, if you want to call it an issue, is that all platforms are constantly evolving and constantly growing, and you as a digital marketer, as a marketer, just have to constantly be adapting to it. Right. So that's the reason why universities and colleges don't teach digital marketing, because by the time they actually implemented a Facebook training, what they're teaching you is obsolete. Everything has changed already. So that, that's why it's nice to have access to mentors and trainings who are actually doing it every day of their life, because what they're giving you is actually what they're currently using to make all their money, rather than, a professor sitting from the front of the room preaching, theory. So yeah, super huge getting the right training and getting started there. Great that you mentioned that. So then in year 2, you have the right training, you kind of got your mindset right again, and you're not plateauing anymore. So obviously we still had obstacles. We always do. Even myself, Kiala, the people who own the business, like, everyone's always hitting obstacles. So what were some of the obstacles? You got everything right and you're starting to have success. What were some of the obstacles you hit there?
So on the second year, there was 2 things that happened on the second year that were a huge, had a huge effect on my success so far. And it was, I know you said obstacles. So it was the 2 live events, the 2 elite summits, right? Just by attending those events just kind of skyrocketed me. But so turn it back around. So with the obstacles, if it wasn't for those events, if it wasn't for the live interaction and just meeting the community, I don't think I would have made it as far. Those are the importance of the events. Other obstacles may include just kind of learning the ins and outs of audiences and targeting, but they weren't huge obstacles. I can say that if you just stick with it and follow the training and just be consistent, then it's absolutely an obstacle that is easily overcome.
Yeah. And I forgot that exact saying, but it's like the size of your dream will be measured by the obstacle that stops you. So yeah, huge. And that's something that's like we, and like I say, when I say we, I mean the whole community, as online marketers, we just are so supportive of one another that we're just constantly keeping each other positive, constantly keeping each other moving forward. There is no obstacle we can't push through. And I think that's why, the people we run with, the community we have, has such a high level of success, because everyone's lifting each other up.
I could agree with that. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it. Even in 7 years of network marketing, obviously there's a community there, but it's not the same. You have to experience to feel it. Like everybody is like-minded. Maybe that's how it could be in the network marketing community, the one that I was a part of. But yes, we're all like-minded, but in this community that we're a part of, like everybody is just so supportive, and it's just the energy and synergy that you have between each other is amazing. Like I've never experienced anything like that before, and it's a big part of what I'm doing now.
Awesome. So what does the future look like for you? I know you said you're still doing the bartending for the last 14 years at the same place, but you are having great success with the online marketing. So is the game plan to stay working at the bar, or is it to go full-time online and then maybe, what is the game plan for you?
So the ultimate game plan is to not work at the same job I've been at for 14 years. And I am very, very close to actually achieving that big goal of mine and leaving because of online marketing, which is, super exciting time. Before finding online marketing, I just thought I was going to be stuck doing that, bartending forever. And I see some of the older guys behind the bar, and they're serving drinks with, walking around the bar, behind the bar with canes and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's here in Vegas, it's union, and for someone to take that on as their career, that's totally fine. But I needed more. I want to be with my kids. I know I can create more for myself. And but yes, I do not plan to stay. I'm leaving soon. The ultimate goal for me is to with online marketing, we have the freedom to work from our computer and an internet connection. So I'm not limited to leaving my children every day. I can create income here, or I can travel with my children and still create value and have my ads out there and create an income. So the ultimate goal, yes, it's leaving my job, spending more time with my kids, being there as a father before my kids grow up to be adults. And it's just after they cross that age, that's you don't have that time anymore. You don't get to spend that same quality of time after they're already grown. So yes, it is kind of, I'm gonna make this happen before they're reach adulthood.
So, and I know just from our conversation here that you're big into personal development and stuff. Have you taken the time to sit down and give yourself the clarity of vision and give yourself a specific deadline? Because you know the power of that. I know you do.
Yes, absolutely. I have, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not consistent with it, and probably not as much as I should be. But yes, I do sit down and I'll visualize what it's gonna look like when I achieve my goal, and just learning through the events that we've been through and some of the other material is like, you just have to really just engulf yourself in what it's going to be like when you achieve that goal, right? Like what it's going to look like, what it's going to smell like, what you're going to hear, who's there, what it feels like if you may be touching something. Just immerse yourself. And yeah, that's the total power. And the way I see it is, it's your destination, it's your roadmap. So how where you want to go if you don't have a roadmap to get there, right? Mm-hmm. You need to know what the destination looks like.
Yeah. So I just want to revisit something you had said before. Sure. You mentioned the live events, the elite summits, which I've been to both as well. They blew my mind. I mean, the level, I don't want to dive too deep into what I took away from it, because I actually want to ask you, what was it about those events that was like your biggest takeaway?
That is a very good question. And it's pretty crazy because so there's the Awaken events, which we spoke about earlier, which is more, all mindset. Mm-hmm. And then there's the elite summits, which is a little bit of both, but mostly marketing, just pure marketing strategy, which is both are extremely valuable. The material we got during that weekend, both times, Summit 1 and 2, was absolutely amazing. the thing was, good thing I took a lot of notes, and good thing we have some of the slides, is I forget a lot of it after the weekend, right? I have to go back and revisit. But my point being is, even though all that stuff was super important and valuable to me, the number one thing that I got out of it was being in the mix, just being around the energy and the people, because I'm kind of like, before getting into online marketing and meeting the community, going to these events, I was kind of like a shy person. And I kind of attribute this to it's kind of a cultural thing. You know, Asians from back in Asia, their cultures can be more reserved and more kind of, a little more quiet, not show as much emotion. And so I was kind of raised in that environment as my grandma came over and my father. So I naturally was kind of like a shy person by nature. And in this country, I mean, it's okay to be shy, but I also feel like it's okay to be open and communicative, to everyone. So the biggest takeaway I got from both summits were just meeting people, be able to come out of my shell, being able to receive value from others and give value, and just develop these relationships that just lifelong relationships that change your life. So learning, mindset, all that, but just the people I've met, including you.
Appreciate that, dude.
Yeah.
It's been an honor to have met you too. I know we've had an opportunity to sit down, share a meal, share a beer, have a conversation.
Yes.
It's always a great time. I really do enjoy speaking with you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention something quick, because I know you had brought it up, but I've asked this question a couple of times about the Elite Summit and your biggest takeaways. And it always comes down to, you get so many great strategies. You get things that are, easily going to take your business to the next level tenfold, but it's always, and I don't want to say always because that's an absolute, but most of the time, the people are talking about the other people, the people they got to talk with, networking they did, they got to meet like-minded entrepreneurs and realize that they weren't alone on this journey. Like, so much of that is huge. And I forget that sometimes, right? Because I've been involved in this community for so long now, and I dove right in. I knew I needed to be a part of it. So now it's like when people start bringing it up again, I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, that is right. Like, that was one of the biggest things. Like, I couldn't get to the very first Awaken I wanted to, so I started my own mastermind here in Phoenix so I could get around people. And then everyone in my mastermind had been to an Awaken, and they're telling me, you gotta go. And I'm like, I know, I wanna go. I finally got to go. And then from there, it was over. I was like, I'm going to the next two. I'm going to be in every event you ever do. I am here. And it's just been an amazing journey, man.
Yeah, it's absolutely magical, man. I'm scheduled to go to Activate in a couple months, but so just speaking on going Awaken, it was magical. It was absolutely, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to Activate for sure.
It's going to be an amazing experience. I wish I could be there with you, brother, but my wife and I already had plans set in stone for almost 6 months now. So neither one of us are going to be at that one. But yeah, I mean, just like learning to do the other side of it, right? So you get to go there and be a student and learn. But now I'm learning the other side of it, of like understanding why we're doing this particular exercise right now, and the benefits and this, like the human side. It's just so awesome to me. I love all of it.
I've never thought about it that way before. Wow. That kind of flips the whole thing around on its head. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever go back again and re-audit, take a second and just like sit back and just take it in, because it's like things are happening exactly when they need to. And it's all like perfectly planned to give you the ultimate experience. It's an amazing thing, like to see the actual moving pieces. I
bet.
But I just want to, hit some more on your story, hit some more on some of the things that really helped you get to where you are today. What were, maybe some of the books that you had read in the last year that have really helped you, some audios. I know you had mentioned that, sometimes you wake up and you go to Les Brown. He happens to be one of my go-tos as well. I love his message. I really do. And that's something else I just want to hit on too before you move into the books and the audios, is that, it is really great, and it is, in my opinion, almost a necessity to get yourself in these personal developments, once a quarter or at least once a year. But when you can't do those things, we have the amazing resource of YouTube, which is like millions and millions of videos that can also help you. You know, to start the first 15 minutes of your day when your subconscious is the most active and ready to learn with a positive message, a positive, 10, 15-minute message will absolutely change the course of your day. And then if you start practicing gratitude on top of that, it changes your life completely.
I completely agree with that 100%.
Yeah, man. But let's move into your books, your audios, and maybe some of the other stuff that you kind of dive into to get your mind right, get success.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that I did watch some YouTube videos, like Les Brown and Tony Robbins. I probably watched them all. So I haven't done much of those lately. But as far as audios, I do listen to some podcasts, especially when I'm in the gym or driving the car. Self-Made Man is a really good one. I remember Calla saying something about that podcast, and I put it on, and it's right up our alley for what we do. There's probably some other ones I'd have to dig in my phone, but I do have a really good story about a book that, changed my life. And that is The Magic. And if I had it here, I'd show it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of it. If not, I could show the cover here. Oh, you got it there?
Yeah, never too far from me, brother.
Yeah.
Never too far.
I'm pretty sure mine's on the shelf up here too. But
that's my little reading spot in the morning.
Yeah, that book right there. So I as I said, I have another story. It was that first year. The first year that I got into online marketing, it was a rough one. So I didn't really go over it too much when we talked about it earlier. But at the same time, that first year, it was probably one of the lowest points in my life. So at the time, I was trying to do that. I was trying to make it work. I had lost my car. Things were getting a little rough. I made some bad decisions. And so there was a point in time where I didn't have a car for like 6 months. I was taking Uber to work and home. I was taking Uber to bring my kids to school and pick them up, to the grocery store and coming back home. And I'm telling you, it was quite a humbling experience to kind of have part of your freedom taken away. We take for granted that we just go outside and start up a car and drive anywhere we want. Mm-hmm. It's not the case when, in my situation back then. So it was tough. It was tough. It was hard not to stay, to stay out of the pits. But that book, in the focus of gratitude and in the daily exercises, it breaks down the simple things that we all have take for granted, like our 2 hands and our 2 feet, 2 arms, 2 legs, the air that we breathe, waking up in the morning. When you break it down to a level like that, you become more grateful in your present situation. And that's important because you need to be grateful for what you have now in order for other things to come into your life to be grateful for, right? And so that book single-handedly probably had one of the biggest effects on my life. On top of that one was Happy Pocket Full of Money. Now that book, so I read Think and Grow Rich, and that's a good one too, but I think for the time period that was written in, some of the language might be a little hard for people to digest. It was for me. I got the general message of the book, but I feel like Happy Pocket Full of Money actually is almost like a sequel to Think and Grow Rich in a way.
I've never thought of it like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and it kind of breaks down it doesn't go too far into it, but it breaks down the physics part of thinking and all this. And it's just an amazing book into how to kind of attract and think the way you should think to kind of reach your goals quicker.
Yeah, that's a powerful book. My wife actually had, I was going to go grab it, but I remember my wife brought that copy with her to Poland. She came to me right before she left, and it might have been because she just went to awaken. I'm not really sure what set this into motion for her, but she walked in the office right before she was leaving, and she's like, "Hey, can I borrow one of your books?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Pick one," but a lot of them are copywriting or stuff like more business based. But that was more of a mindset, get yourself ready for wealth, prepare, getting your mind right to be that successful person. But she grabbed it. So I'm really excited to see when she gets back, how she enjoyed it. Because that definitely was a powerful book for myself. I remember it was Cameron George one of his early videos when I first got started. You know, he was talking about how he was like going through for like the 8th time or something, and that every time he goes through it, he finds something new. And I'm like, a guy who's that successful, that like iconic in this industry, if he's reading it that many times, I better at least read it once, you know, get my head in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So let me just ask you, I want to kind of open the floor to you and see, like, is there something that maybe you would want to share with a viewer, you know, that you would think would be impactful and help them get started on a journey? Because I know the unknown is scary to anybody, right? Like, no matter what circumstance, no matter what situation it is, the unknown is scary. And that's the purpose of these YouTube channels, is to break away the unknown, to show you what it really takes, to show you what actual people who are having success are doing on a daily. You know what, and I really appreciate you sharing your ritual there, your morning habits. Like, that's kind of something that I didn't even ask for, and you put it in there. Really great. But you know, what would you kind of say to the person who's like really reluctant around the mystery of it all?
I would say I would offer advice off my own personal experience, but since being in network marketing for 7 years, I kind of gotten used to all the, you know, this skepticism and all that. So going into this, yeah, at first, you know, we always kind of think, oh, you know, what is this or whatever. But I would say for anyone that has no experience in any kind of marketing whatsoever and seeing this for the first time, it's like, you really have to kind of, if you really want change that bad, you really have to, I guess, I don't want to say take the risk, but I mean, just go in and just do it. Because if you don't try out something new that has a potential to change something for you in the way you want it to, then you're just going to be stuck running around in the same life that you're trying to get away from, right? So for me, that doesn't make sense. You know, online marketing is a huge industry. And for some reason, it's still, I guess, kind of relatively unknown to the people that aren't into it, but it's huge and it's growing, and I say go for it. I mean, it's the simplest way to leverage your time and to actually, you know, claim back what you may be missing, which is in the form of time with your family or time for yourself, and you know, to create a life that you may be really wanting in the background, but don't know how to achieve yet.
Awesome. Yeah, that the word create, I'm really glad that you used that, right? Because that's exactly what we've done. You, myself, and every one of us. You know, we took a serious look at our current circumstances, and we said, okay, something needs to change. If this continues, I'm going to be worse off than if I even took a leap of faith. So leap of faith seeming a little bit better right now. And then you actually take that leap of faith, right? You actually take the chance because you know the circumstances aren't going to get better unless you do. Luckily, fortunately, I don't like the word luckily, but fortunately for myself, I got linked up with the correct mentor, correct training, and correct community from the bat. You know, I had a bit of a glimpse behind a different company, just randomly through a freak experience that I was going to learn more about marketing for a brick and mortar company. I happened to go into a workshop, not even knowing what I walked into. And, you know, that company pitched me on that, and I saw the potential there, but I was laser focused on the business I already had, and I didn't want anything to do with it. You know, fast track 2 years later, the business I have is taking all of my time away from my family. And my son, you know my story. He walked through my office and brought me to tears. Because he just didn't understand why Dad never wanted to play with him. But meanwhile, Dad was just trying to make sure that he had everything and then some. But yeah, it kind of just like, it jaded me a little bit. But then I went 2 years and I was like, you know what? This is killing me. And, you know, that fated day where the famous Kiala video popped up for me on YouTube as well. And yeah, I knew that there was something there, and the genuineness radiated there. And I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, well, it's probably too good to be true. So I had to do my research, had to make sure that everything was on the up and up, and I did. And I got her on board and went all in within like the first 2 weeks of getting her on board, and, you know, figured out all the finances and made sure everything could work. And just never looked back. 4 months later, I had my first sale online. 2 months later, at 6 months, I made my first 5-figure month, paid back all of my investment, and then went on to make this big bad boy behind me. So just
That is truly amazing, man. That is awesome.
it was definitely a scary journey, dude. It was scary as hell. There were times where I was literally like pacing, not knowing what to do, trying to like call Devin Thomas or someone else who was a little bit further along than me to be like, hey, am I doing something right? Because I haven't seen any results. Like, what's going on? And they always just told me, be patient, stay the course, stick with be consistent on the things that are working, and don't let up when you start having success. And I just that was like gospel to me. I didn't stuck to it.
Yeah, wise words right there for sure.
That was Devin Thomas. He was like, dude, just be patient. He's like, the dam will break, and when it does, stay consistent on what you're doing now. He's like, don't stop doing it because you're starting to make success. He's like, you'll lose it. So yeah, it was sage words, sage advice, and honestly, a huge component to what drove me to stay so consistent. Like, I became the captain of consistency last year. Like, everyone they just knew me. Like, you knew you were going to get an email from me. You knew you were going to see a post from me. You knew it because I was on it.
Right.
Obviously,
the results that you have.
Yeah. I mean, it's success leaves clues, right? It's a science. It's not like, we're just taking guesses in the dark or just, whims. It's like, these people are actually doing something that's working. Follow those footsteps. Yes, don't, steal their work, but, use it as a template and move on, make it your own unique spin, and then move forward, and it will work. I mean, it's working. It's proven to work. And that's all I did.
That's all I did too. That's all I did too.
Yeah. Now these days I'm able to be a trainer and teach and do a lot more. But back then it was just, click, I'm following the video on one screen. I literally had two windows open. One was a video teaching me to do it, and the other video was me actually doing it. And just going back and forth until I figured it all out. Because, there is a lot to it, but it's not, in my opinion, it's much simpler than a lot of other things I've done in my life. I've been in the military, I've managed human beings, I've run restaurants, I've done a lot of different things that honestly are hard work, are really hard work. This to me is not. It's much simpler. Yeah, you have to put in a bit of effort, which is fine because anything worthwhile needs effort. But once you put in the initial effort and you understand what's going on, the automation, the leverage part of this takes over. And that's where you see us sitting on the beach. You see me at the Grand Canyon on a random Wednesday with my family while I'm still making, 5 figures in one day or whatever it may be that day, just rolling with it because I took the time to put in the effort to build the automation to now live the lifestyle. And that's like something that I think is kind of needs to be addressed, right? Because a lot of people come into this industry and they're spending $5 a day and they've been doing it for a month and they're like, hey, where's my $100,000 check? It's like, no, it's not quite how it works. Yes, you absolutely have the ability to do that, but you haven't put forth the effort yet. You haven't put forth the time to learn. You haven't put forth, the ability to scale, like to really move your budget and do these things that we teach. So yeah, it's just like going off on a little bit of a tangent, but in the whole spirit of these shows, you really want everyone who's viewing to understand what it takes. And there is a level of work, but in my opinion, it's not hard work because to me, having to get up at 5 a.m. like my wife does and sit in an hour's worth of traffic to get to work for her boss to basically just shit on her for her good job and give her more work that the other people in the company aren't doing to give to her because she can do it. That's hard work. That's unrewarded hard work. Here, what I do, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion. I don't want to knock that because she works very hard and does very good at what she does. But in my opinion, what I do is much easier and much more rewarding. I am building my dreams, my goals. I'm building on my own schedule. Like there's so much more reward to my effort, to my hard work than it is to what I see being done as actual hard work, physical labor, people building, communities in Arizona go up like that. And I see those guys slaving away and building up. That's hard work. Getting out there swinging a hammer every day, doing crazy labor jobs. That's hard work. To sit behind my computer for 2 hours, maybe 4 hours and type a little bit, stress my brain maybe for a little bit. That's not hard work. It's way simpler in comparison. That's just me on a tangent for a second, but just
that was valuable. Absolute value in what you just said. Yeah, it does take work, but the reward is definitely worth it. One point I would like to bring up, especially for those that may be just getting started or getting started into online marketing or transitioning like I am from a job or as an employee to working for yourself, is I can't stress consistency. And this was told to me in my network marketing days, and it's really important. I mean, consistency is important in anything. If you're going to if you're into health, the importance of the being consistent in going to the gym or exercising, right? So when you're transitioning, or if you're just getting started, the hardest part for me, and I want to pass on, is that, so if you're an employee, you're used to going to a job at a certain time, right? You usually have, like, say, a boss or a manager expecting you to do something, whatever your job requirement is. So the hardest shift for me was to be disciplined and knowing when to, okay, now it's time to work on this. You got to do at least something every day towards the business or towards your goal, whatever it may be. And yeah, just stay consistent. And it's kind of like, the compound effect. Even if you start small and do something small every day towards your business or towards online marketing or whatever it may be, your goals, then eventually over time it grows bigger, right? Because of the small all the small things that you did do on the way towards, you know moving towards your goal or whatever it may be in online marketing.
Yeah, I mean, awesome, dude. I mean, as a community, we cannot just stress consistency enough. It doesn't have to be massive effort every day, but if you can consistently do the things that are working on a daily basis, you will succeed.
Absolutely.
Kiala says it best, your success is 100% guaranteed to you the minute you commit to it. You have to commit to it, stay consistent, and then it's 100% guaranteed to you. I'm really happy that you brought that up, though, because it's a huge point, man. Huge
Absolutely.
point. So I know you kind of brought it, like, what was it that, like, helped you find that schedule? Like, what was the kind of the shift? Did you read a book? Did you maybe talk to a mentor? What was it that set you up? And then what did you implement so that you could have that discipline?
I think for me, I guess you can kind of call me like a OCD type person. I guess I like to be organized and just have, I guess, routines.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't always this way. I thought like this. I like to be organized and clean, but sometimes it gets lost in the mix as far as a daily organizational flow of how you want things to happen, especially if you have a full-time job and kids. And so I basically just started doing things at the certain points of the day. Like, for instance, I'll wake up and first thing I'll do is, of course, have my morning coffee. But while I'm doing that, I'll gratitude journal,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will do some reading for about 30 minutes, and then I'll meditate for about 20 minutes. It's all done within an hour, and then I'll hit the gym. So those things are really important to who I am and what my values are. And after the gym, of course, I'll come home and I'll do my marketing for a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Work on it again at night if I need to.
Awesome, dude. So it looks like we're actually at the top of the hour. So I just want to, usually I close out the interviews with a two-part question, but you actually answered it already, just out of your own story. No, it's good. Great, dude. That's great. It's always great when it naturally comes up because it's just part of, like, where your mind's going. But so you answered the part about someone just getting started and some advice for them. And we kind of hit a little bit about the second part of that question about the mystery, about pulling the veil back. But I just want to readdress it in a full form. What would be the advice you would give somebody who is on the fence and reluctant about getting started?
So the advice I would give probably to somebody on the fence would be to really, really look at why. Why do they want this change, and what can it do for them, and how? I guess you're looking at them all. Why, what, how? I mean, and how it can potentially change their life for them and their family, as opposed to, and I brought this up earlier, as opposed to living their life as they've been living it. Obviously, if they're looking for something different, then they're not content with how things are going now. So I say, if you're on the fence, yeah, you can look and do all the research you want, but you need to take action in some form of way, and you need to take some kind of sacrifice and some kind of risk, right? Because if you just have to, if you want change, then you have to take action towards it, and it's as simple as I can get it. Basically just do it. You just do it. Just take a leap of faith and give it a try. What do you have to lose, right? It's either trying and it working, and you go towards the life that you really really want and desire, or not doing it and having the what ifs, like what if I tried that and it worked, and what if, and just being stuck in the life that they are not happy with. So you have nothing to lose, nothing at all.
Awesome, brother. Couldn't have said it better myself. I want to just take this moment to just, again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this interview with me. Tons of value provided. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. So if you resonated with what Rob and I are talking about, and you kind of want to reach out to Rob and maybe get to know him a little bit better, his handles will be in the description. You can just scroll down to the description, find it, and then, find him on either, any of the social media platforms that he currently is on, and then kind of have a conversation with him from there. And then, as always, if you are interested in getting started right now, that link will be in the description as well. Don't waste any time. Get started. You will not regret it. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this interview with us. I know everyone's time is extremely valuable, and there are other things that you could be doing. And it means a lot to me that you take the time to watch this and learn and expand your mind on what it is online marketing is, rather than, an hour of cat videos. But thank you. And we will see you next week.